and just do hand signals.
Welcome into the Thunder Basketball Universe presented by Summer Moon Coffee. It is a special live show edition of TBU today because it's a big deal. It is schedule release day, and this is a big deal for multiple reasons. Nick, the most important that I can think of is we can now plan our lives for the next 7 months, which is perfect.
I mean, if that's not a holiday, then I don't know what is. This really is an NBA holiday. It's something that people anticipate and look forward to for the entire season. Not just the home games. Of course, we have such an amazing group of season ticket members and fans who want to come out to the games every single night here in Oklahoma City. But we have Thunder fans across the country and across the world who are circling dates for road games and just opportunities to see this team, the reigning NBA champions, come to their city and have that opportunity to see this team play and compete their hearts out.
And it's so exciting. Obviously, this team has done such incredible things this past season, winning a championship, and now an opportunity to start with a clean slate, 0-0, and there's some really, really interesting games on here, a lot of highlights and things that me and Nick, we've circled for you. So what do you say we go into some key dates here?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, how about game number one?
That's a good start.
That's a good starting place. Game number one, opening night for Oklahoma City is going to be at home on October 21st against the Houston Rockets. And this is always a special night, but it's going to be especially special for Oklahoma City because you got that ring ceremony, you got that banner ceremony pregame. I'm looking forward to that.
I cannot imagine what Paycom Center is going to be like in that moment to have the fans in that building, to watch the players get their rings, to see that banner unfurled, the very first one in team history here in Oklahoma City. And what a great encapsulation of maybe this team's mindset over the past decade plus, which is that will be the official sort of ending of the chapter 17 of Thunder basketball. And what a better test for this Thunder team to be able to turn the page to chapter 18, get back to neutral, get back to that 0-0 mentality that they've talked about for years now, and be able to go out there and play against the Houston Rockets, a Rockets team that is very talented, that is up and coming, that has added some key players, and is going to be poised to try to make a big-time run in the Western Conference. So this is a great test of this mental fortitude that the Thunder has been honing and practicing for years.
Going to be a great way to open up this 25-26 season for Oklahoma City. And that game follows immediately with a 3-game road trip for Oklahoma City. And so let's get into this opening week a little bit more, because right after you open the season against the Houston Rockets, then you go and fly out to Indianapolis, where the Thunder were just a few months ago in the NBA Finals. Rematch against the Pacers, and that's going to be on October 23rd.
Yeah, and that first game at home, NBC broadcast, the very first broadcast for NBC in decades. And so very exciting that is the return to the NBA on NBC.
Oh, that's exciting.
The Thunder here in this building. And then a couple nights later, as you mentioned, playing against the Indiana Pacers, a rematch of the finals. That game is going to be on ESPN. Those are 2 of 34 nationally televised games for the Thunder this season. You just think about it. There's 80 games on this schedule. We'll get to why not 82 at this point, but there's 80 games. 34 of them will be on national TV. That is just astounding, and it's tied for the most in the NBA this year.
And the Thunder most certainly deserve all of that attention and all of those eyeballs. Very exciting. But only 15 of those 34 nationally televised games will be national exclusive. So every other Thunder game you'll be able to watch on FanDuel Sports Network with myself, Nick Gallo, Chris Fisher, and Michael Cage.
Yeah, so that's 67 games. So you'll have plenty of opportunities to...
Don't get sick of us.
Yeah, to see our crew break down all the action for you.
Okay, a lot to look forward to. So we talked about opening week. You mentioned that there are only 80 games on this schedule. It's a very interesting scheduling quirk, and the Thunder, the NBA as a whole, has dealt with this now for about 3 seasons, and this is due to the Emirates NBA Cup. And it's all pending on the outcome of how those group play games go out. Then, depending on all that, will be the remaining 2 games on the schedule that will be determined later after those group play games.
Yeah, and so all of this is going to come down to how the Thunder fares in its group play games at Sacramento on November 17th, at Utah on November 21st, and then at home against Minnesota. That's a national TV exclusive game on ESPN. And then that's on November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving, and then another Cup game against Phoenix at home on November 28th. So those 2 games sandwich Thanksgiving. What an amazing feast for everybody to dig into during Thanksgiving week.
I love that. Yeah, bring your fork and knife to Paycom Center. It's gonna be really good. So for Oklahoma City, that I want to get back into the Emirates NBA Cup, because for those who may not know, it's you've got those 4 group play games. The Thunder is in West Group A. That includes the Sacramento Kings, the Utah Jazz. That also includes the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Phoenix Suns. The Thunder will play each of those teams one time throughout the month of November. You mentioned those games. And then the team with the best record out of those 4 games will advance to the quarterfinals. The team that advances out of the quarterfinals go to the semifinals. And the Thunder fans that were with us last season, you remember this, the Thunder made it all the way to the championship game. So that's how all of that unfolds, and those games will take place in Las Vegas. So those group play games, always incredibly exciting. And the fact that it happens right around Thanksgiving too, I feel like a lot of people will be able to tune in and really lock into these games.
And just continuing with the Emirates NBA Cup and a little bit of a scheduling quirk, you'll notice on the schedule that Wednesday, December 17th, the Thunder has a home game against the LA Clippers. That is the day after the Emirates Cup final. So there's a chance that this Thunder team, if it goes to the NBA Emirates Cup final, would be playing a back-to-back coming out of being in Las Vegas for 6 days. So just something to keep an eye on. Always when I look at these schedules, I try to think of the human element and what this is going to be like. You remember last year,
I do.
That strange stretch that the Thunder
Can't forget it.
being in Vegas for 6 days and then flying all the way to Florida for a back-to-back coming out of the Emirates NBA Cup. So this is just things to keep an eye on as you're assessing the schedule, thinking about how you're going to put yourself in these players' shoes over the course of this season.
Well, it adds a little extra sauce to it, if dare I say, for Thanksgiving week. The Thunder is going to be home during the holidays. You've got that Thanksgiving home stretch, and then right after that, guess what? The Thunder's home on Christmas Day, the first Christmas Day game for Oklahoma City in 7 seasons. The Thunder going to tip off here at Paycom Center against the San Antonio Spurs on December 25th.
Yep, 1:30 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be one of the very first games of Christmas Day, and such a special tradition, Paris. I'm so excited. This is going to be your first opportunity to be at a Christmas Day game, and I just know Paycom Center, the festivities, the way that this arena transforms around the holidays, really, from Thanksgiving on. It's so special to be in this building. Everything is just so decked out. The staff here goes above and beyond to make sure that fans are having a wonderful experience here. And to be able to bring in Christmas again that way is so cool. And the Thunder will be able to continue that as a homestand, 4-game homestand that extends through New Year's Eve, which is a tradition here in OKC.
So the New Year's Eve matchup, the Thunder has had every single season they have been here in Oklahoma City. Their record, I did the research, 13-4 so far.
That's really good.
Pretty good if you ask me. And they're taking on the Portland Trailblazers on New Year's Eve to kind of round out that beautiful holiday homestand that you have here inside of Paycom Center. I'm so excited about that. I feel like I should just say that because family can come in and they know that you're home for a good amount of time and over the holidays.
And some really great matchups too. Home against Philadelphia on the 28th, home against Atlanta on the 29th. Those are 2 Eastern Conference teams that are going to be extremely competitive and jockeying for position. Of course, we all know about that San Antonio matchup on Christmas Day. That is a team that has big aspirations moving forward. And then the Portland Trailblazers, they have added a veteran in Drew Holiday. Damian Lillard's going to be there. Obviously, he's not going to be able to play, but this is an organization in the Thunder's division that is definitely charging forward as well. So that is going to be a critical and fascinating 4-game homestand for the Thunder.
And then the Thunder, moving into January here, the MLK Day matchup. This is interesting because they go to Cleveland on January 19th. Now, I think back to the Cleveland matchups. This past season between these 2 teams. And boy, those were some electric basketball games. And so for the Thunder to have a nationally televised game again against the Cleveland Cavaliers on the road on January 19th on MLK Day. I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, that's another NBC one. And then about a month later, those two teams get back in action back here at Paycom Center. That's another national TV game, I believe, on ABC. That's going to be February 22nd.
I love that.
Here at home. So one of those little home and homes about a month apart.
Yep.
These are teams that obviously, did very well last season, the top 2 records in the NBA during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what type of years they're able to put together again, because as we've talked about, everybody starts back at 0.
That's
There's
right.
nothing that you can carry over from the year before.
Nope.
So everything going to have to be earned throughout the course of this season.
Total clean slate for Oklahoma City. Nick, what do you say we get into some numbers
Sure.
from this schedule? Because there's some interesting ones. You already mentioned one of them, 34 nationally televised games. Obviously, that's way more than the Thunder had last season. I believe it was 25 total last season. 34 is the most you can have. And that's pretty special for this team. As we mentioned, 15 exclusives. And those, but everything else will be on FanDuel Sports Network.
Yeah, I'll tell you the other teams that have 34 national TV games, and it's the Lakers, the Warriors, and the New York Knicks. I'll let you all guess what the common denominator is between those teams, and maybe which team between the 4 of them is a little bit different. But I'll tell you this much: when you win the NBA title and when you have the MVP on your team, and you have another All-Star on your team and some up-and-coming young players, the entire country, the entire world is going to want to see that type of basketball being played, the level of competitiveness, the fight, the character that this team has. And now they've got to go out and prove it again this upcoming year. But there's a reason why Oklahoma City is being designated and tapped to be on national TV that many times this year.
They've definitely earned it and definitely deserve it. The other number that I want to point out, 13.
Yep.
That's the number of back-to-backs on this calendar. And they're sprinkled in very sporadically throughout the schedule. But Nick, one place that I thought was very interesting was February.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously the shortest month of the year, but it's also where All-Star break is. And yet somehow there are 3 back-to-backs in the month of February.
Including right before the All-Star break, which an All-Star weekend will be out in Los Angeles this year, I believe. And so, the Thunder's at Phoenix and then home against Milwaukee. If you notice that back-to-back, it's a late game in Phoenix. You lose an hour coming back here to Oklahoma City, and then it's an early tip-off against the Milwaukee Bucks that day right before the All-Star break. Watch out for that back-to-back. That is going to be a big-time challenge. Obviously, one the Thunder is going to be up to the task for, but just something to look out for heading into that All-Star break, because, to your point, that is going to be a very dense month, even though it is a very short month.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but if I think back to the last couple of years, when the NBA has had the Emirates NBA Cup, it's kind of like January and February get a little bit more condensed in terms of scheduling, and we experienced that, as you mentioned, last season in particular, coming out of that championship game of the NBA Cup, and how just it felt like you were kind of just nonstop going until the All-Star break.
Yeah, so this is definitely something to keep an eye out on in the back half of the schedule. You think January, February, March. Those games, those days, those weeks are going to be very dense in terms of games. It's going to be night after night after night. The cool thing is, whether you're a fan here in Oklahoma City or elsewhere throughout the country or the world, you're going to get to see the Thunder a lot during that stretch. Most of the Thunder's nationally televised games are compacted in those 3 months.
Right.
So just take a look at those scheduling dates, and you'll be able to find out exactly when you'll be able to watch the Thunder, no matter where you are, no matter what ticket package that you have, no matter what TV package that you have.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
You guys all deserve to watch the Thunder play this season. All right, the last number I got for you, Nick, 5. And that is the number of games included in the Thunder's longest road trip of this season, but also their longest homestand of the season. Here's what's interesting about this. They're back-to-back.
Yeah. You have the 5-game road trip there
through the East Coast.
Yeah, mid to late March, and you hit some really high-quality teams there. You start at Orlando, and then at Brooklyn on the second night of a back-to-back. That's a long flight to go from Orlando to Brooklyn. Then a couple days off at Washington on a Saturday, and then you turn around, you go down to Philly, and then up to Boston. So that is a grueling trip, and you've got some teams that are rebuilding. You've got some teams that are trying to be really competitive in that road trip. and then all of a sudden you come back home and you've got 5 straight games at home to end the month.
Yeah, so your reward for getting through that entire East Coast swing is to come home and immediately play 5 games here in Paycom Center between March 27th and April 5th. So a pretty good chunk of time at home. The Thunder will play against the Chicago Bulls, the New York Knicks, the Detroit Pistons, and then finally sprinkle in some West Coast teams there in the Lakers and the Jazz. So it's a nice balance. I kind of appreciate that. Like, all right, you're going to be on the road for a second, but we'll wrap things up at home.
That game against the Knicks on a Sunday evening, the 29th of March, that could be a really interesting one, just given some of the changes in New York and obviously how competitive they were last year and how far they got into the playoffs. Should be interesting to see what that game is like as these two teams charge forward throughout the season, that late season matchup.
A lot to look forward to. But Nick, I think, and I'll pose this question to you too, but I think the thing that I'm most looking forward to is opening night and just knowing how special that's going to be for this team, just a moment that they've worked for and just kind of putting the stamp on what was such an amazing season. But I'm really looking forward to the NBA Cup games. Those games carried a lot of interest this last season in particular. I'm excited to see what it looks like this year.
And the teams that the Thunder is facing in the NBA Cup are really dynamic. You have a team in Minnesota that the Thunder faced in the playoffs, in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And so that is obviously going to be very charged emotionally. They've lost a couple key players, but they've retained some key players as well. You think about Nickeil Alexander-Walker is no longer with the Minnesota Timberwolves, but Anthony Edwards, he's vowed to come back to be a better player, as of course every Thunder player has as well. And so that's going to be an interesting dynamic. And then you think about Phoenix, completely new look team there as well. No Bradley Beal and no Kevin Durant. And then Sacramento, they've made some significant changes.
Yeah.
And then Utah, there's been some big declarations coming out of there that they want to be a different type of team this year. So we'll see what that looks like, especially that stretch around Thanksgiving
in November,
is so fascinating to me.
Yeah, because it's everyone's still kind of figuring each other out, building their identity, but also trying to put a stamp on who they are and what they want to accomplish kind of early on in the season.
Yeah, the old adage is that basically you are who you are after about the 20-game mark. And so a lot of teams, that's going to be right around that time, late November, early December, where the dust is settling.
Yeah.
You're going to see, and one thing that we should definitely talk about here for Thunder fans, as this team comes off of winning the NBA title, you never know what the first few weeks of the season is going to look like.
True.
This team could start off just rolling the same way that they did. They could have, face a few bumps. They might not get the results on the scoreboard that they want. That's what the first few weeks of the season are for.
Yeah.
There's going to be dust that needs to clear, and then you begin to see what these teams are really like over the course of time. If you were to judge the Thunder by their first 20 or 25 games last year, you'd be judging a team that didn't have a single healthy center.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot can happen throughout the course of a season, and especially over the course of 2 months or so. And so it'll be really interesting to see how everything unfolds. And the good news is you got the dates, so mark those calendars, circle them, mark it, but make sure you block out those schedules. No meetings on October 21st.
That's right. And I guess we should maybe finish up with the last game. Well, the last game of the season, first of all, is against Phoenix at home. The Thunder once again gets to conclude its season at home at Paycom Center.
Yeah.
That's just, it's always been so special here over the last few years to have the final game of the season at home. So that'll be a night game, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. I feel like those games are usually in the afternoon, but this year a night game, 7:30 against Phoenix.
Yeah, you're right. Normally it's been like kind of a matinee-ish type of game, but the Thunder wrapping things up at home per usual. We love to see that. Okay, so let's get into what's brewing and what this all means for you now. The good news is tickets will go on sale soon. That is going to be on September 18th. That's a Thursday. And at 10 a.m., tickets will go on sale for October, November, and December home games for Oklahoma City. You can go to okcthunder.com/tickets for more information on that and to get those tickets. But that is September 18th, 10 a.m.
Can't wait to see all of you here packing this building. We are ready for you, even though it's still August.
Still August.
We're really only 2 months away.
I mean, training camp's right around the corner, Nick. We're going to blink, and then this team's going to be in the Ion getting to work.
It's 6 weeks, and then just another couple weeks after that. So we'll see you in less than 2 months, but basically about 2 months from now. So get ready. I know we're gearing up. We're soaking up the last of of our off-season time here, and then we'll be ready to rock and get covering this team for another 7 months.
We are so looking forward to it. But we want to thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Thank you so much. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, Thunder up and catch you later.